Hey, Candle Kids, this is Mr. King again. I am here to do a really cool symmetrical shamrock right here that we're gonna try to get done today. I love the crazy pattern that I'm able to make right here, and I'll teach you guys how to do that. If you wanna do your own pattern making on this one, you can. Really the heart of it is to make the symmetrical shamrock, and there's an optional addition of if you've got pipe cleaners or something like that handy, you can make a stem for this or actually make this into a bracelet, and I'll show you how to do that. But the big thing you need is a square of paper. Any paper will do. I'm using an extra large piece here, an 11 by 14 sheet that I've cut down to 11 by 11, but a 8.5 by 11 regular piece of computer paper would be perfectly fine, just 8.5 by 8.5, okay? So this is just a little bigger than what you might be working with at home, but still, whatever you got, make it into a square. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna be folding this for a little bit, and then we're gonna get our drawing done. So the first step of this is to take it and to fold it, whoops, oh my gosh, I'm having trouble here, corner to corner. And then you're gonna go the other corner to corner. It can be kind of tough sometimes to get that fold right. It's okay if your folds are not quite perfect. That's okay. Just don't worry about it too much, all right? You'll see why in a minute. So I got both my corner to corners, so now I've got my smaller triangle here, and then watch this. I'm gonna take that triangle and I'm gonna fold that one in half, okay? So, yeah, not so bad. And what we're looking for is if you do it the same way that I did, if you just follow the video, you can always rewind it to each fold to see the way that I did it. The top here will kind of open up into lots of little pockets. That's where you want it. You're gonna hold your triangle like so, with that point facing down, and then you're going to cut, and I'll show you actually with my, before I cut it, let me show you with a marker the cut that I'm about to make. So it's going to be kind of a semicircle here, and you're trying to make it look kind of like a teardrop, but watch this. This side of the teardrop is going to be higher up, and this one is going to be lower down, okay? So it's going to look kind of like that where I cut it, and I'll show you why. Because if you do it right, and again, if you have to use more than one sheet of paper because you make a mistake, it's not the end of the world. We are gonna have an awesome symmetrical 4-leaf clover here in the end. So first off, I've got kind of this teardrop shape. If I unfold it, I'm gonna get symmetry on two sides, and it turns into a heart. Oh, look at that, nice little heart. And then if I unfold it again, well, guess what? The heart then becomes two hearts, kind of side by side. And I bet you can guess now what happens when I unfold it again. I get my quadratic symmetry, and kaboom! I have my 4-leaf clover. Makes sense, quadratic symmetry for a 4-leaf clover, 4 for 4. So once I've done that, I'm going to then grab a black marker. I'm gonna use a Sharpie here, but you could use just a regular black. I just noticed this Mr. Sketch is getting kind of burnt out. So I'm just going to trace my folds here. You don't need a black, actually. You could be doing this with a color. So really anything will work, whether you've got only pencils available or you've got, you know, highlighters or regular markers or crayons, really anything will do. So I like tracing those folds to make this pattern that I'm gonna make a lot easier. And we're gonna make kind of a cool echoing pattern here of the loops. I'm gonna have the black there, so I'm gonna choose a nice dark color to go along with it. Instead of my green, I'm gonna use this purple. And what I'm gonna do is at the very bottom here, right next to the center that I've made so far, I'm gonna make a little tiny loop here. Okay, and then I'm going to repeat that loop above itself right there, kind of like making horseshoes. And you're just gonna keep making those horseshoes so they kind of touch back to the same spot over and over down this kind of half of my clover petal. And boom, there we go. There's one pattern done. You're gonna rotate and you're just gonna do the exact same thing over again. Now, you could stick with purple all the way through, just like I did green all the way through in the other one. But what I think is nice is once I've done one clover here, I'm actually gonna switch it up. Let's go with some pink here. Pink goes really well with purple. Although one is technically warm while the other is, I would say, on the cooler side, they read well together. They're almost analogous, these two, this pink and this purple in particular, but not quite. So I'm getting that echoed loop over and over again. I, for mine, would change colors every full petal, so every 2 of these wedges, but you can do it more often or less often you want to. And remember, if you want to do your own pattern, if you just want to change patterns every time and go from polka dots to zigzags or whatever really suits you, you can do that. I tell my students, like, I'm just giving you ideas. You guys can really do what you want with those. But I like the way that pattern looks, I'm just gonna say. So if you don't agree with me, that's all right. So I'm just switching up my colors. I'm probably not gonna sit here and finish the entire thing for you guys because I just think you guys really get the idea of what I'm doing here. I've got my symmetrical 4-leaf clover here. I've got my symmetrical pattern, although the colors change. And that's really cool. Now, some of my students in my classroom, they would get done earlier with this, and what I would tell them is now either you can grab something like colored pencils or some crayons, and you can color in each one of those little empty voids between. So I'm gonna use crayons real quick because it's nice when you go from marker to crayon, I feel like, because you can actually go over the lines a little bit, and it's really not gonna be a problem because the crayons are gonna be more translucent than the marker usually. And so I could fill that all the way up that way. I could just take markers and I could just color in those voids that way too. So it doesn't have to be crayons, okay? And really, I just think that's cool. If you color them in all different colors going up and down, now that's gonna be really, really time consuming, but especially if you're working at home, that might be nice just to sit down, you know, be working on this and just take some time out from whatever other studies you're working on, okay? So that's really the end of it. That's the big thing. But let me show you the last kind of optional step, which is to add the stem. So if you want to add just a regular stem, just take your pipe cleaner or whatever you got, make a little kink on the side of it. Make sure it's longer than you expect. And you're going to put the straight part over here, and then you just tape that right on. Okay, and that's as simple as that. Just maybe put 2 pieces of tape to make sure it's really secure, and you'd be able to have it like this one, where you can hold it up and have your nice little, you know, 4-leaf clover. The one that I see is really popular in the classroom with the kids especially is take your pipe cleaner, make a loop, and then do a little twist tie spin on the top here. Now those leftover little rabbit ears, we're gonna pull them so they make kind of like the letter T on the top here. And then I'm gonna make 1 piece of tape on one side. And it doesn't matter if you got masking or if you've got Scotch. Either one works really well for this. Tape down both sides. And then you got that loop on the end. Slip that over your hand on your wrist. And then what you can actually do is actually spin and twist the pipe cleaner, the pair together right here to tighten it up to your own wrist. And you get this really kind of cool, funky 4-leaf clover bracelet, which can be a lot of fun, you know, for celebrating St. Paddy's Day, or maybe because you just want something really cool like this. One thing I could see happening with this, which would be really funny, if you didn't want this to be a St. Patrick's Day project, is you could actually put another piece of paper right here, cut out thin, maybe a piece of cardboard, and turn this actually into a butterfly. Make that like a little butterfly bracelet and make it fly. So there's a lot of options for it, okay guys? So really it's just a fun little project. Should be a really easy one to get done at home. If you don't want to put the bracelet piece on or the stem piece on, it's just cool to have that pattern clover to hang up on your wall. And I hope you guys enjoyed and have an awesome time with it. So have a good one.